Hey guys, it's Jill and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be my very first TBR Takedown video where I'm going to be doing a reading vlog and only reading from my physical TBR. I have 3 books chosen for this video today. The first one I already started from my last video. It is Sunrise on the Reaping. Again, I'm only on page 59, chapter 5 I think that was. Yeah, chapter 5. So I have not even said anything about this yet, but I do want to get a little further before I talk about my thoughts and feelings of this one. The next book that I'm going to be reading in this video is The Girl on the Train. This book I thrifted, I think it was like 2 years ago now, so it definitely needs to be read. And for the last book of this video, I'm going to be reading The Manor of Dreams. This is a newer release from this year that I only got a few months ago, but I've heard really great things about it, so I'm determined to finish these 3. I don't really feel like my physical TBR is too crazy. I have a good amount of books, but I'm not overwhelmed by it. And for this video, it's going to have some minor spoilers, but I won't talk about the major plot points of these books. But I'm going to get started with continuing Sunrise on the Reaping, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Okay guys, I made it to chapter 10. I'm on part 2 now. It is called The Rascal. And with this, if you're unaware, I'm sure everyone knows, but this is Haymitch's Games. This is the second quarter quell, so the 50th Hunger Games. This one is a little bit different because rather than 2 tributes from each district, there's actually 4, which at the start is quite frightening because obviously it means that the kids have a higher chance of going to the games. There's so many characters from the other books. We have Wyrus and Mags, who are the mentors for District 12, because at this moment there's no victors from District 12 to be a mentor. We also have Beatty, who is obviously the genius. We also have Plutarch in here, who talks to Haymitch every now and then. And I have noticed that there are many references to fire, which is really interesting, of course, because Katniss is known as the girl on fire. So I feel like Suzanne Collins definitely did that on purpose. In terms of the writing, I'm really enjoying it. It's quite fast-paced. I don't feel like I'm bored or anything. And obviously, since we know Haymitch wins the games because he's in the other Hunger Games books, he'll be returning to District 12, of course. And I feel like what will happen though is that Snow will end up killing his girlfriend Lenore Dove. But as we know, Snow is just so cruel and does whatever he wants, which might be pretty sad because he might be going back to District 12 like very eager to see her and happy to be able to see her again, and then she'll be dead or something. I don't know, that's just my prediction. I don't know exactly what's happened. I haven't watched any or heard any spoilers about this book, but I do know that people have cried and have been really sad about the ending, so that's why I'm predicting something like that. I'm really eager to see exactly what the arena is going to be like, because Haymitch is trying to kind of piece together any clues that he can find and try to figure it out based off of the training and whatnot. And as of right now, he's still unsure, but as we know, the arenas are usually quite intricate. So far, I really like Haymitch as a character, and it's interesting to see him as a young 16-year-old boy trying to figure out and navigate this whole thing, dealing with pressures of whether or not to form alliances with people and who exactly to trust. Even with the people that he came here with from District 12, he's unsure whether or not he can fully trust them. But I'm hoping that we get into the arena very soon because I feel like we've done enough build up, and I'm just really eager to see what happens in the arena. And it seems like so far the alliances forming are quite larger than the ones I remember from the original Hunger Games trilogy. So I wonder if they'll be able to stick with this large alliance or what exactly will happen, because it seems too big in my opinion. So that's all I have to say for now. I'll check in again later. I guess if this is in 3 parts, I'll check in after part 2 is done. I'm on part 3 now, and this is called The Poster. For Haymitch, he is really having some bad luck in this arena. It is this meadow, and there's nice mountains on one side, there's a forest on the other side, and there are a lot of poisonous things. I do feel like the starting point of the games feels a little bit rushed though, and especially what has recently happened to Haymitch in terms of the people that he's kind of sticking with when he's in the arena. So I'm not sure exactly the direction we're going to be going into in part 3. and he keeps talking about like trying to shut down the games, but as we know, there's going to be like 25 plus more years of the games, and it's kind of weird right now because even though we're in the arena where there's supposed to be a lot of action and everything, I don't know why it's reading slow to me, and I'm kind of losing my interest a little bit, but I think I just have to power through this because I feel like the ending is going to be really good, and unfortunately it is not available for free on Spotify with my Spotify premium account, so I'm just going to have to push through and read it physically instead of having to listen to, because I do find it easier if I'm feeling a little bit slumpy or like a book is slow to listen to it for a little bit to kind of regain that momentum. But anyways, I can't do that, so no point in really talking about that, but I will give you guys a final update once this is all done. I just finished Sunrise on the Reaping, and I feel like I liked this basically the same amount as I did for the Songbird of, I always forget what it's called, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm giving it 3.5 stars, and I just think the ending was interesting because with Haymitch's thoughts, it really solidifies that he does not believe he has what it takes to be able to go against President Snow. The reason that I'm giving this 3.5 stars is I just felt like the actual games portion felt rushed to me. I didn't really feel like we had that true allyship with the people that Haymitch was with. For example, at the end when one of his fellow allies dies, he says that he loves her like a sister, but I really did not see the progression of that friendship, so it just didn't really feel honest to me, or maybe because he was just so overcome with emotion because of being in the games and stuff, that's what he was thinking. But I do just feel like the majority of the relationships in here were not fully fleshed out, in the sense that I was like crying or feeling emotional when people were dying in the games. But I do think it is a good book if you're into the whole series. I believe that they're going to have a movie made out of this. Is it coming out like 2026 fall, something like that? But overall, I just feel like it's okay, and you really can't get better than an original series when they do spin-offs or prequels and stuff. I feel like they just never live up to the OG books. And then next, I'm choosing between reading The Manor of Dreams and The Girl on the Train. I am home alone tonight, so I'm like, do I want to read The Girl on the Train? I don't know whether or not it's like scary thriller or just like a mystery. I'm not even sure exactly. I haven't read the back in years probably, so I think I am in the mood for something more like this, because I know this is like a family drama book, which I've said in past videos. I do not like family drama books. I don't know why. I unfortunately still pick them up randomly, but the last family drama book I DNF'd, so I am going to read this in this video, of course, but I think I'm more so in the mood for this, and I'll get right into it and update you guys very soon. It's the same day. I just got a stain on my shirt when I was eating dinner, so I changed into a different sweater. But I am 44% of the way through The Girl on the Train. I think I'm listening to it on Spotify and also following along periodically with it physically too. So I think I'm around page 132-ish. The chapters are so short, like on audiobook. Let's just see how many there are. There's 135 chapters. I'm on chapter 66 currently, and yeah, 44% of the way through. I already said that. I have 6 hours and 9 minutes left. So this is about there's a few main characters. So our first main character, her name is Rachel. She is an alcoholic, and she is very infatuated with this couple that she sees on her commute to and from work, which actually ends up being that she's pretending to go to work to kind of prove to her roommate and friend that she's working when she actually isn't. which is odd. When she sees them during her commute, she kind of makes assumptions about them and makes up these perfect stories in her head about what they're like, how their relationship is, and it kind of seems like it's a projection of the fact that her last relationship, I believe they were married actually, it kind of just went very downhill. And she even compares sometimes, saying things like, oh, this relationship is what I used to have, and it's almost like she's living vicariously through them now, even though she does not know them. But it's interesting because they were actually her neighbors when she was with her ex, and when she was just moving out is when they moved in. So there's some weird connections that way. Weirdly enough, she's kind of also obsessed with her ex, and she always calls them at like basically all through the night. But getting back to the couples, the strangers that she watches when she's on the train, the wife's name, her name is Megan, and the husband's name is Scott. And although from the outside, from Rachel's point of view, it may seem that they have the perfect relationship, that is not the case at all. Megan isn't really happy in the relationship and doesn't really feel like she has much purpose other than being a wife. But then something happens where Megan actually goes missing, and this is interesting to Rachel because Rachel has seen some things and feels like this information would be useful to the police in this investigation to find Megan. And I only know because I read some of the like reviews on the back here that our main character is not a reliable narrator, so I don't think she's a bad person and has bad intentions, but I think she's definitely troubled and has a lot of healing that she needs to do. So right now I'm really just wondering what parts are unreliable. Is it everything that she's saying that's unreliable? Is it the stuff that she has blurry memory that's unreliable? But I definitely do think that she's involved in Megan's disappearance somehow, just not sure exactly to what capacity, because I do remember her saying when she saw Megan do something, she was thinking, I wish I could just punch Megan in the face, or something like that. Something kind of aggressive like that, considering Megan was a complete stranger. I might be able to finish this tonight, and I know I always say that, and then I'll come back days later and be like, I didn't do anything, I didn't read at all. But I'm determined to get this done because I want to start my next book tomorrow, so this needs to be done very soon. I finished The Girl on the Train last night, and this FMC Rachel, she is so incredibly delusional. Interesting to read about. She was just trying to get into all these different situations and problems, trying to solve and fix everything, where she doesn't really have that capability, so I don't know why she kept doing that. There was a major turn of events, and I didn't expect the bad guy to be who it was. And I honestly, I give this 3.5 stars, and most of that is because of the fact that one character specifically just had the worst time ever. Relationship after relationship, she was just being abused, and I did not like reading about that. It was awful. It was just so unfair to that one specific character. So that kind of knocked down a little bit for me, because I was really enjoying it. Like I said yesterday, I was reading it super fast and everything, and I was thinking it could be 4, even like 4.5 maybe, but then after I discovered certain things, I'm like, I just can't rate it that highly. I was gonna watch the movie, but it has like a 55 or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes, so maybe I won't. Plus I had to pay like $5 on Amazon Prime Video to rent it. But that's all I really have to say for that one. And I did like the writing. It was nice to get a break from Frida McFadden, because I feel like a lot of thrillers I read are just by Frida McFadden, because I know it's easy to get through and whatnot. But seeing the difference, I did enjoy this author's writing more, Paula Hawkins. So I would definitely pick up another book by her in the future. But yeah, so that is that. And I did start The Manor of Dreams last night. I was listening to it a little bit, and I also have been reading a little bit this morning as well. And I'm not far enough really to say too much, but I will do an update really soon once I get a little bit further in. I think I'm like 10% of the way through, so probably around the 30% mark is when I will talk about The Manor of Dreams. I'm on chapter 13 now. This is page 105, which I wanted to get a little farther than this, but honestly I got into the couch and I had a nap so fast. So here we are, but I'm about 30% of the way through the book, and so far it is not, I kind of mentioned before, but it's not my usual genre. I don't love family kind of drama books. However, I am enjoying this one, and I feel like with how it's going so far, I will be rating it highly. So this is about an inheritance because a really famous movie star, her name is Vivian Yin. She was the first Chinese actress to win an Oscar in this world, and she passed away. Her daughters are expecting to get a huge inheritance, including this estate. However, in her will, she actually put it to this kind of random family, and they were the family that did housekeeping and other kind of chores around the house, like that Vivian hired way long ago, but they haven't really talked to that family for a long time. So the family is quite confused as to why they've been inserted into this will, and it's causing a lot of conflict with the daughters who are expecting to be getting the majority of this inheritance. So the family that got put into the will unexpectedly, the daughter's name is Nora, and then her mom, Elaine, it was her parents who worked for Vivian as like housekeepers and groundskeepers and everything. It hasn't explained yet the falling out, or whether or not there was a falling out, or did they say it? I don't think they did. But Nora does want to go to med school, so having this estate and having them sell it, I think, is the intention, would definitely pay for that. However, the daughters of Vivian, so their names are, this is the Yin family. We have Lucille, Renata, and one of their daughters, I don't know who it is, but we have Madeline. But specifically Lucille and Renata, they're very upset because in the will it only says, I believe, that they get just $40,000 each, which they're not happy with at all, and they want the estate. They are pretty entitled. They're like, this is supposed to be ours, like why the heck is this random family getting the estate and not us? So they're kind of bickering over that, and these sisters are trying to figure out whether or not there's foul play involved in the death of their mother. But honestly, it doesn't seem like these sisters were particularly close to their mother, and maybe Vivian just realized that they're spoiled brats and didn't want to leave them anything in her will, which is totally fair if she wants to do that. And it's actually crazy because one of the sisters is like walking through the house and steals a bunch of jewelry, trying to see, oh, like maybe I can sell this for like a few $100s and this for a few $100s. It's like, you're stealing from your dead mother. It's crazy. And it seems like there may be some magical realism in this. I don't know if it's exactly that or if we have like a ghost situation, but there are some strange things that have been happening in the house now and in the past, and some of the characters have also referred to some of these things that have happened in the past. So I'm really interested to see what that is. The chapters I've been reading most recently have been about Vivian and her experience in Hollywood, her relationship, having kids and everything, and it's a cute love story, honestly. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for now. I'm enjoying this, and I think all of these characters are quite interesting thus far, so we'll see how much I can get done tonight. I'm hoping to get like 2/3 of the way through. I will talk to you guys probably tomorrow with another update for the Manor of Dreams. I finished the Manor of Dreams, and I was a little bit surprised because there were some spooky moments and it was a lot scarier than the thriller that I read. And then I went on to Fable to log that I finished the book, and it turns out it's actually like a horror, so that totally makes sense now seeing that. I thought it was just like a literary fiction book. No, horror. So if you don't like scary things, then maybe don't pick this up. It wasn't like terrifying. I wasn't really scared, but there were some creepy moments where I was like, oh yeah, that's a little spooky. Initially with this book, I thought it was going to be about this really famous starlet. She was in Hollywood, she won an Oscar, she must be super successful, and that is actually not the full story. And it's really sad to hear what Vivian ended up going through. She was always worried about her place in Hollywood, being a Chinese actor. I really found her to be an interesting character though, because sometimes she was very sweet and loving and kind, and then on the other end she was manipulative and she was very calculated with her actions and the types of relationships that she would build. There were a few things that were predictable for me in terms of the mystery aspect of this murder that happened, and I pretty much knew from the start about who the culprit was. There's so many secrets, lies, tragedies with both of these families who are trying to obtain this estate. There's a little bit of romance in here, and we have a mystery element, and then the horror elements as well. The ending was kind of an open ending, which I really loved, and I rated this 4 stars, so it is definitely not my type of genre, especially initially thinking that it's literary fiction. I was like, eh. The family drama, I was like, eh. And then when I got to the horror part, I was like, I don't think this is what I thought it was going to be. But I ended up really enjoying it, and I'm pleasantly surprised that this is my highest rated book out of all of the ones I read for this video. So overall, it's a pretty good end to this reading vlog, and that is all that I have for you guys today. These are the 3 books that I read, and if you've read any of these, please let me know your thoughts on them in a comment down below. But otherwise, I will see you guys next week with a new video, and thank you for watching. Bye!